Hi guys. So I'm back after a very long, I'm not going to call it a break because I've been pretty busy, but I guess too busy to even come on live for you guys for a bit. So I figured I would make some bath bombs. I'm in the process of restocking for this weekend, and so I wanted to make some donuts. I was talking to somebody, and now I don't remember your name. Anyways, we were talking about using the plastic molds, and she was saying that they weren't sticking together. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'm going to come on, and I'm just going to kind of do my thing and talk to you guys and see how you guys are doing and all that kind of fun stuff, and make some donut bath bombs. So I'm going to be using this Wilton mold here. And I actually went out and got a second one so that I can do some, I guess like, what would they be? I don't know. Anyways, where there's one on the top and then there's the icing in the middle and then one on the bottom. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to make 2 sets. I'll have 6 of them. My craft shows aren't, we don't sell, you know, thousands or even hundreds of bath bombs in one fair or craft show or anything like that. So I have about maybe 3 or 4 just plain ones still available, and then those ones, and that's going to be great. And then I might actually even make these little ones too. So we'll see what we can do. If I have enough stuff, I don't even think I'm going to have enough of the bath bomb mix. So in here, I'm going to I'll give you guys the recipe that I use. I can't say that it's my recipe. I've just kind of taken the 2-to-1 ratio with the baking soda and the citric acid, and then I've kind of just adjusted what I like personally in my mix. So like I said, I do the 2-to-1 ratio, so I do 2 cups of baking soda, 1 cup of citric acid, and then I do 3 tablespoons of the slsa. I do 1 to 2 heaping, I normally do 2, actually, I should say 2 heaping tablespoons of the kaolin clay. I do 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and then I do 1 tablespoon of cream of tartar. Now, this is what I do. I know some people don't like to use cream of tartar. They don't like to use cornstarch. They only use 1. They only, you know, this is just what I use. My climate is pretty humid. It goes up and down with rain, snow. We have, you know, the really hot summers and stuff. So I tend to kind of change that a little bit too, as I know, you know, my winter or my temperatures and stuff, the seasons are changing. So if I see that, you know, this isn't working, then I kind of tweak it and change it up, and I might use a little bit less of one or not one at all. Or so these are just my basic ingredients that I like to use, and like I said, I just go and tweak from there. So you can follow my recipe if you want. Again, I'm not saying it's mine, I'm just saying that this is what I use. So that's what I have in here, and then these are the colorants that I've used. So I'm really liking the, I'm guessing I'm backwards, eh guys? But anyways, so this is what I'm using, the orange. Here, I'll do it this way, I guess. Oh no, it's good. Anyways, yeah, so the orange you glad, it's the neon powder from Candora, and the neons don't tint the bath water. So what I do is I add a little bit of the orange bath bomb colorant. So whatever kind of colorants, bath bomb colorants that you want to use, you can mix with your neons so that the color will kind of come through with your water. So I'm using those, and then I'm also using a Poly 20. My scent for this batch is a new one. This is my freebie that I got when Candora sends you a free 1 ounce of fragrance when you order 75 or more. So I always try to order at least $75 so that I can get a freebie, and this one is the Tropical Spice. It is actually very delicious. I can't pinpoint exactly what it smells like even. It doesn't have like a banana scent or you know, like sometimes you can have a watermelon-y kind of, I can't pinpoint it. It just, it's a really nice, summery, fresh scent. It smells really, really good. And then in here, I have my poly in there, and I always like to use olive oil, or I try to always use olive oil because it's always available to me. If I ran out of my actual stock, I have some in the kitchen. Whereas if I start using like sunflower or apricot or anything, you know, kind of fancier or whatever, I don't tend to carry that in my kitchen at all times, you know, so I like to just stick with olive oil in case I run out. And in that way, just go into the cupboard in the kitchen, grab a little bit if I ran out, and I'm good to go. So that's what I tend to do. And then I've got my 91% rubbing alcohol in here. I've also used witch hazel. I just kind of, again, prefer to use the rubbing alcohol. It's a little bit cheaper and easier to find. I can just go to, you know, my local drugstore or whatever and get rubbing alcohol. I know you can get witch hazel too, but then, you know, I'm playing with added aloe vera, scented, unscented, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I know rubbing alcohol is just rubbing alcohol, 91%, you're good to go. So I don't have to, you know, be messing around with all of that kind of stuff. So like I said, I have those colorants in there. Now what I do before is I do add all of my ingredients plus the colorant, and I try to go through and mix everything together and get all of the little chunks of the colorants out. You could use a sifter kind of thing, but you know, I'm pretty good at it at this point. There is sometimes a little bit left over, and you know, some people might frown against that, but to be completely honest, I'm not a, you know, big time company. I do my best with what I have, and people, you know, they like the product, so I'm not going to stress about all these little things. I do eventually would like to try to do the water soluble colorants and actually bloom and see if that makes a big difference. I don't know, some people say they do, but I wouldn't mind trying that. Okay, so I'm going to add my olive oil and poly mixture. I have my scent in there as well. I use about an ounce, give or take. Again, like I said, sometimes with the weather, you need a little bit more, you need a little bit less. So I go with an ounce and I go from there. So I'm just going to dump that in there. And I have this thing with stuff on my hands. I won't even cook chicken or prepare chicken without gloves on. Ooey gooey stuff just grosses me out. So I kind of just like, go like that until there's like, you know, it's kind of, and then I'll sort of, you know, anyways, everybody's got their own way. I still get it on my hands, but I don't like dipping my hands in it. I find it ends up staying all in your gloves. And anyways, we all have our different ways of doing this. So I always start with obviously my oils, and I think that's how everybody starts with it, obviously. So I'm just pushing, literally sliding my thumbs through everything so that I can really incorporate the oil. Now you do want to be careful because the slsa is airborne. It goes into the air very easily, so you can start to cough and you feel it in your lungs. You can wear a mask if you want, or you could just be, you know, gentle. So once you feel like it's starting to kind of come together, and you don't have those chunks anymore, you're going to want to test it out, of course, and see if I'm making a really big mess today, and see if it's sticking together. Now it does, but I can tell that if I was to push on that very lightly, that they would fall apart. So I'm just going to incorporate a little bit more. And let's start adding the rubbing alcohol. Now I try to not squirt so much on the sides because that's where the alcohol will just kind of sit there, and then if you don't wipe it, then you're risking having like wet clumps, overly wet clumps, I guess, in your product. So I try to squirt in the middle, and I'll just do a couple squirts at a time and mix it up. A KitchenAid really helps. I do have a KitchenAid, and I normally do make it in there, but there's just something about mixing by hand. I guess I'm just old school in that way. Even when I bake, I don't really, you know, do too much with the hand mixer or anything like that. I tend to just... So, depending on where you live, you know, you're gonna adjust how many squirts. Now, even for me, like, I'm doing this and I know what I'm doing, and even then sometimes they don't turn out. Like, weather is something that really plays a big factor with me. I'm still looking for a dehumidifier. I'm having a really hard time paying the $200-300 full price for it. It's a big investment for bath bombs. You know, like I said, I don't sell wholesale that much. I don't, you know, it's not a big part of my company, and so to spend that much money for something that I do, you know, not as much as a lot of other people do, I guess. It's a big investment. So I'm trying to look for one on like a second hand. Well, my husband is anyways. So now that I squish it together, if it stays, which it does pretty good, and I'm pushing on it and it's not really falling apart, to me that's good. Okay, so with I'm gonna do one with the other with the plastic mold, just to show. I can't remember who it is. Do you want to comment? I don't remember what her name is. She just messaged me this morning too. I'm such a forgetful. I don't remember names. I don't even pay attention to the names, to be honest, guys, when you message me, and I'm so sorry for that. I shouldn't even be saying that. But anyways, these are the plastic molds that she was trying to use. And she was saying that, okay, well, I'm not exactly sure. I feel like she was saying that they don't push and click in together, right? Which is what these do, because they've got that little lip. Or she meant that when she pushes them together, they don't stick together. Like, the two pieces won't stick together. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I kind of just went with the flow. So this is how I do it. I don't actually use these anymore. I use the metal ones now, and I find that those are a lot easier. They don't break. These are super flimsy, and when you're trying to push them together and stuff, you know, it just makes it really hard. So these were just, I found them from when I first started making bath bombs, and you know, I just scooped one up. So what I do is I take some and I crumble it in, and I don't overflow it and I don't pack it in. I stick my finger right in the center and I push down. Okay, so you're gonna have this hole in the center, and all I do after that is just sprinkle some more on top to kind of mount it, and I'm not pushing on it whatsoever. And I'm gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Stick my finger in the middle, sprinkle some more on top. Now I'm going to take the two parts together, and that's when I'm going to push them together. Now, if you have too much product in between there, they're not going to touch at all because there's too much product. So if that happens, I just twist them back and forth like this. I twist until I can put them together. I don't twist quickly. Slowly is the way to go, okay? Now, I think I have two of the same sides, actually. So this might not actually work. Oh, no. So this is why I don't like using these, because now you're having to play with this lock and seal portion of it all. So once you've done that, if you have a lot, now that's the thing, is that I hate playing around with these. I find that the balls don't work for me anyways. So I don't personally use them. Now, I would let that sit in there overnight, because I find that's another thing, is when you go to unlock this part, that's where your bomb will crack or not actually stay together, all that kind of, see, and it didn't even stick. So that's where, you know, I'm trying to kind of show that it has to be locked really good. And so let's just say that didn't even work, okay? If it didn't work, what I tend to do, and it sometimes doesn't even work with the other ones, I rough that up. And same thing on the other side. And I'll just put more product in and try again. And just squish it really tight. I know by the end I wasn't even really using the locking, because that's the thing, is it makes it crack So as long as it's pretty close together, now that's when you're going to need a spoon to tap the top and the bottom. And that's probably why I didn't want to let go. But I could see it already that it wasn't going to. Now this is where I find it ends up cracking and stuff. So I am no expert with these. I was just trying to show her, you know, maybe a different way to do it. Because I don't use these anymore. So this is definitely not my... I find with the metal ones, it's so much easier. It's quicker. See, and I already cracked my mold right there. So these are pieces of poo-poos. Mind you, I have used that one in a pretty long time. But anyways, so that's how I tend to kind of use those ones. Again, like I said, I don't use them just because they're really hard to use. I use the other kinds, the metal ones. So that's what I would do. I can't remember your name, but anyways, that's how I would do them. And then they should stick together that way. So that's not what I was doing. I was just kind of showing her how to. Now, the metal ones, there's a few people that have been commenting on whether to use silicone or the metal ones or whatever, and I always comment to try and get metal ones because they're way easier to use that way, because you don't have to mess with anything. You're literally just pushing the product in there and that's it. So I just grab a handful and I go slowly because you don't want to put too much product in there either. You know, obviously you can still push it away, but I just take some handfuls and I go and push it in. And that's pretty much about it. I like to clear the hole and I just tap it in there, put a little bit more. I love making these. Seriously, the easiest bath bombs I've ever been able to make are the ones in the metal containers. Even easier than the balls, like in the round bath bombs. I prefer doing these ones. I have started not really carrying too many of the round ones because this is just easier. When you're going to tap these out, they're going to be perfect. I mean, again, there's times where they aren't because of humidity factor and all that kind of stuff. But I've played around with like the little mini ones where I've literally wasted an entire day and got like 10 mini bath bombs that actually stuck together and didn't give me a hard time. And like, again, I've asked, you know, you have to switch your recipe, you got to tweak it. I'm sorry, but I don't have time to be tweaking a recipe. Like, you know, a lot of us don't have time. A lot of us don't have the money. And I get that that's, you know, how it is for, you know, doing products. You have to tweak, you have to play around, you have to, but if I can't use the same recipe throughout, I don't want to be playing with it. And I think a lot of us are kind of thinking that way too, right? So that's all I'm doing. I'm just pushing it in. Now I can't see any of the comments because you guys are all upside down. Hello. Love you, girl. Hi, Amber. That's the only one I could see. I haven't been on, and I haven't been posting on the YouTube channel because, so I went and kind of switched over some of the live videos that I had done on here onto my Facebook channel, or my YouTube channel. And that was all great, and, you know, it started, you know, got things going and whatnot. And then I went to go and do a video with my actual DSLR camera, my fancy, you know, Canon, and, well, my lens isn't a good lens. It's too close, and so my face is, like, zoomed right in, and it doesn't autofocus, and so I literally spent about a month, almost every day, trying to tape or to, you know, do videos, and it just was not working. So I went to Henry's, our local, you know, camera store, and I tried to talk to them about, you know, what's a good vlogging camera so I could do videos. Well, these cameras now are like, you know, close to $1,000, if not more. And I was like, okay, well, I don't really have that kind of money to just put on talking to you guys, unfortunately. So I decided that I was going to sell my Canon with all my parts and so that way I could buy a new camera. So I'm just waiting for somebody to buy my camera. So if you want to buy my camera, buy my camera. If you're in close to Sudbury, Ontario, and you want a really nice camera because you're doing photography work, it's a beautiful camera for photography, just not for vlogging. So that's what these are. So you fill them to the top. They're really nice to clean off. Now you really want to make sure that you push down on them so that they fill each cavity really, really nicely. And what I do is I pop these in the fridge or freezer, it doesn't really matter, for about 20 minutes, because if you're going to be doing a lot, then you want to be able to use, and that's why I got the 2 molds. But you're going to want to, you know, production-wise kind of thing. So that's all I do. You can swirl the colors. I've done them where I've done like multi-colors and stuff. Awesome, awesome mold. So I'm going to go and put these in the fridge, and I'm going to get the other one going. Alright, so now let's do the second one. So do you guys have any questions for me, or, you know, I like to talk to you guys while I'm here. I know I can't see that easily, and it'd be awesome if there was like a video, or not video, or recording kind of option here so that you guys could just talk to me and I wouldn't have to bend my neck backwards to try and see anything. You're from Florida? Is it Amber? Or no? Audrey. How do you change your recipe when it's humid? It's always humid here. So if it's humid, then it means that there's moisture in the air, right? So you have to add more stuff that's going to harden your bath bomb. So you're going to want to add more, for me anyways, like this is what I would be doing. You're going to want to add more cornstarch, or more cream of tartar, or more kaolin clay. You're going to want to maybe lower the oil a little bit and do more of like a rubbing alcohol. I find as soon as I switched from witch hazel to rubbing alcohol that my bombs were getting way harder. The witch hazel, and I know like some people, again, like I comment and some people are like, no, that's not how mine work, you know. This is just individual stuff, guys. So just because it doesn't work for you doesn't mean that it doesn't work for anybody else, right? So when I was using the witch hazel, because mine had a water content in it, there was water in my witch hazel, it would activate my bombs, and then I was always getting warts and stuff in them. So I stopped using that to be able to switch over to the rubbing alcohol. So you might want to use rubbing alcohol too. I've also seen a lot of people talk about putting them in the oven. So you preheat your oven at the lowest setting, like 170-ish or 175, and put your bath bombs in the oven for a little bit. I've even left some of my bath bombs in there overnight. Just turn the oven off, let them cool down slowly, and I've done it that way too. So that's always another option for you. I'm actually going to just switch this a little bit. So yeah, you could do that. I've also done where I spritz my bath bombs after I'm done making them with rubbing alcohol. And you feel like you're wetting them and you're going to ruin them, but actually they came out really, really nice and hard. I feel like it's just the outside though that's like rock hard, and the inside, I mean, they're hard, but not like I can never, you guys that do like the bath bomb drop or tests or whatever, oh my god, that makes me nervous, you guys. Like, my bath bombs are hard. I can like knock them and they're not going to crack, right? But like, there's no way that I'm dropping them from any height. Like, I'm sure they'd be okay for one drop, but that's it. Like, so my bombs aren't hard as rock, and you know what? I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me that my bath bombs aren't hard. I don't have people picking them up when they're at craft shows and dropping them, right? So like, it's not, they just have to make it from the house to, or from the craft show to their house to wherever they're going to be leaving them. As long as they stay together and they're not falling apart, they don't have to be, you know, like a rock, in my opinion anyways. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for them to be hard enough to make it from point A to point B to point C, right? Like, without falling apart. That's all I care about. So that's that for those ones. Okay, so I'm gonna put these in the fridge, and so I'm gonna be missing one. So I'm gonna have to make some little ones like this too, and fill that one up just to have an equal amount. But that's pretty much how I use the hard molds. The soft molds, again, like as soon as you push onto them, the silicone pops out, right? Like it flattens out. So I don't like them. I really, really don't like them. So like I said, I use the Wilton or the, you know, just any kind of hard metal mold. There are molds. I'm going to show you one. Just one second. Some that you can get, and a lot of people are saying they get them at IKEA. This one's a little bit stained. I had made the seed bombs in them, and the paper, like the writing on the paper, ended up staining them. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get that out. But anyways, these are IKEA. They are IKEA. There's the little name there. So if you got an IKEA, these are harder. Like they're not soft. You know, it's a harder silicone. So that would be okay if you found something like thicker. Those would be fine. And even these ones, I love this one. I'm gonna get another one of these. These ones are, I should move that out of the way because the bottom's a little bit dirty. But yeah, those ones are harder too. Like it's still not as hard. So as soon as you push on them, they expand, right? Like, can you see how it expands a little bit? So you know, I don't like to use those for the bath bombs and stuff. Anything that'll get hard, like a, how am I going to say that? Like a truffle or the, you know, anything like that is fine because it's liquid. You pour it in and then it goes hard. But the other bath, like the bath bombs and stuff, I don't like them in there. I do my shower steamers and that's about it in those ones. So those are the types of the silicone molds that I would personally be okay to make them in. But I like to use the hard silicones, even my, or hard silicones, Jesus Murphy, the metal molds, even my bath bomb molds, they're metal. That's what I just like to use best. So I hope that answers some questions. If there's anything else, you guys can comment below, of course. If there's anything else that you guys would want me to show you, I know tomorrow I'm going to try and come on and do the icing for the not the cupcakes, the donuts. So I'm going to try and show you guys those. Actually, what I could show you are the bath bombs that I did with the icing on the top. I'll show you, 1 second. These ones here. Oh, this one has a little bit of the blue on it. But these are the ones that I was just making. And like I said, oh, that's what I should have showed you guys. That's what I had told somebody too. How to make the little hole for these ones here. How I make the holes. These are super popular. I knew I always wanted to make some, and I decided that I was going to, but of course I made them a little bit more differently. This was my take on the, I think it's the Beauty and the Beach one. I can't remember. She's a blogger. And anyways, she made the little cocoa butter seashell truffle, except when she put it in the mold, she put like baking powder or baking soda, stick that, and then like the seashell would just stick up on top kind of thing. I decided to just do like it kind of looks like foam, I guess, but anyways, I did them a little bit differently. So I still have like the blue. I did 2 different color blues, and then that little, you know, color beach sand kind of color, and then my mold on the top. Oh, I missed it. Okay, so who, sorry, I have to read it backwards. Karen, once I'm done, I post it on, so you can go and rewatch it afterwards, so don't worry about it. You'll be able to watch it after again. These ones here, I'm actually gonna get a piece of the honeycomb so I can show you guys that. So I made little honeycombs out of melt and pour soap, and you just use those little, like the bubble wrap, and you pour a thin layer on it, and it comes out like this. Obviously you could tweak it to whatever color that you want, but this was my, you know, golden honey kind of color. And so I just broke like a little piece of it like that, and I just stuck it on the top, bloop, just like that. So it's a smaller piece, and then I just put like a little bit of oats. So that's the oatmeal, milk, and honey one. There's no embeds. It's just going to be like foam and then the, you know, the topping and stuff. So that one's just going to be a really nice plain one. And then this one, it's going to be like yellow with the purple on top. I've got a little bit of lavender buds. So I like to switch them up. I don't like that they're all the same and stuff. So this one, I left the icing a little bit more liquidy. So it's Nadia's recipe for, her recipe is the bath bomb cupcakes and the icing on top. So it's a buttery, like icing. It's not so much like a bubble bar icing. It's buttery. So, I like it because you'll be able to, market it as being more of like a buttery kind of experience with the bath bomb and then the top and stuff. They could pop that off if they really wanted to and use it as separate baths. But yeah, I really like them. They turned out really nice. So tomorrow I might be able to come on and show you guys. If you guys want to watch that, just hit or comment yes or whatever. Let me know if you guys want to see this, because I would make another kind. I have a local girl, all of my oatmeal milk and honeys she wants. And so I'd only be left with 2 different kinds. So I would make another kind for the live demos and then for my craft show this weekend. So that's what that is. Again, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys want me to do any other kind of videos, let me know. I'm hoping that my camera can get sold so that I can go and do some more YouTube videos, because right now I'm just kind of working my bum off and not really recording too much, just because I have to do it on my phone, and I just don't like doing it for, you know, for like pre-taped kind of stuff. It's okay for live, but so yeah. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that, and comment below if you guys want to, if you want me to show you guys anything else, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.